Chapter 36. In the Special Housing Unit, days drag on. This housing unit is nothing more than a gloomy warehouse storing live bodies before packing the eventual shipment to a new prison. Anguish and loneliness have set in for both Pike and I. The SHU has a way of fundamentally dehumanizing a person, leaving them broken. The unit resembles a massive concrete bunker. The windows are painted over to prevent prisoners from seeing outside. It is a labyrinth of cells, halls, each pathway sealed off from the outside world by walls, gates, and guards. The physical environment reinforces a sense of depressing isolation and detachment from the outside world. It helps create palatable distance from ordinary compunction and community norms. It is a place that builds anger while at the same time loneliness and desperation. The SHU blocks you off from the world and from the world within the prison. Some men spend years in the SHU, in isolation. Even though long-term solitary confinement is decried by human rights groups worldwide, our federal government uses it on many occasions simply as punishment. Experiencing this living arrangement firsthand makes it impossible to fathom how any person can live like this for years. To me, it seems like a slow grind of torture. Each day, little by little, a piece of me is dying. I am suffering, slowly being destroyed both mentally and emotionally. I spend hours pacing back and forth in a 9-foot area. When I tire, Pike takes over and does the same. On our 27th day, another prisoner is put on our range, just 3 cells down. Another white prisoner named Martin. Every 30 days, Martin is moved to a different floor in the SHU. Martin stands in the middle of the cell and screams for hours upon hours. When his larynx tires, he lays on the floor, on his back, and kicks the door like a normal person would ride a bicycle. Sleep does not come easy. When Martin retires, we go to sleep as well. The whole range learns to get some sleep when Martin is resting. It is clear to me that he has mental health issues and needs to be in a mental health institution with medication, not locked in a solitary confinement cell in one of the most dangerous prisons the United States has to offer. They've left Martin here to rot, the good guys. Martin never showers. He continually wipes feces on the wall and on himself. A guard, nicknamed Cowboy, enjoys harassing Martin. Sometimes he gives him the middle finger. Sometimes he calls Martin vulgar names. When Martin is sleeping, he will kick his door. One day the Cowboy slipped up. He left Martin's door flap open after serving his meal. Martin had brewed an evil concoction, urine mixed with feces in a VO5 shampoo bottle. Opportunity, how kind you can be when you open your arms to me. Martin aims his bottle at the Cowboy's back, and then Martin squeezes. His homemade super soaker sprays shit and piss on the Cowboy's back. Cowboy's instincts tell him to jump out of the way as soon as he feels the wetness pelt his back. Cowboy dances, a scalded cat. It's too late. Martin has struck. "Motherfucker," the Cowboy yells out. Other prisoners are yelling and laughing, but no one like Martin. His laugh is an evil gurgle. "I got you, motherfucker," he screams it over and over. Back covered in body waste, the Cowboy points his finger at Martin. "You're hit, motherfucker. I'm gonna kill you." Cowboy rolls the food cart off the range. 20 minutes later, the Correctional Emergency Response Team, CERT, is on our range. This is not an emergency. There is no emergency, but cops are arriving, battle ready. Helmets, body armor, a shield, and one objective. That objective is to beat Martin into submission under the guise of a cell extraction. One guard yells for Martin to cuff up. He gives the order 3 times. As expected, Martin refuses. Policy says after 3 refusals, the cops can open the door and physically extract the prisoner. After the 3rd command is met with noncompliance, the cell door is opened. Slow motion. 10 men charging forward, tackling Martin. The cell block echoes with screams, but these aren't the sounds a human makes. These are the sounds of a yelping dog. The Cowboy arrives. He slides black gloves over his violence-thirsty hands. He has the shirt he was wearing earlier. He balls it up in his hands. Cowboy decides to kick Martin in the ribs, so he does. Some of the blows are delivered to Martin's back. The Cowboy is not finished yet. He grinds his old shirt into Martin's face. "How's that taste, bitch?" the Cowboy yells, quivering and uncontrollable. Then the CERT team hog-ties Martin. They toss him from his cell, with no more care than a TSA worker throwing luggage into a trunk. Martin lands face first on the hard floor. This makes a particular sound. I imagine that many human beings can recognize a human head rebounding off concrete just from sound alone. There is less bass than you'd expect. and less crunching. A sharp, quick sound. It suggests bouncing, this sound. I imagine it smells like wet mops. Martin is ripped off the floor by his handcuffs. His face is bleeding. The two guards bounce Martin off the wall. They make a pendulum of Martin, slamming his face side to side, while they take their time walking him down the range. At the crash gate, the cowboy football punts Martin in his ass. Martin screams out in pain. The guard takes Martin to a 4-point cell where they strip him ass naked. They lay him on a cold steel bed frame. He is restrained, each limb cuffed to the bed. For hours he is left this way, crying and screaming in agony. Martin's screams fall on deaf ears. What he did is the second worst thing a prisoner can do to a staff member. The worst you can do to a staff member is stab them. Shitting them down is a close second. It does not matter that the cowboy has spent months antagonizing a man with mental health issues. All that matters is Martin lashed out in the only way he could. The prison tolerates guards' violence. The violence is silently approved by the executive staff and warden. In law, the correct term is acquiescence. There is ream after ream of federal court jurisprudence discussing public officials turning a blind eye to torture. Many guards hate us simply because we have committed crimes. There is a culture taught on both sides, a learned behavior. They hate prisoners, prisoners hate cops. Very few people in this environment show any compassion. When Martin hit the cowboy with his squirt gun, the prisoners erupted in jubilation. When the guards finished punishing Martin, the guards laughed and high-fived. Together, we all create a dangerous environment for each other for no good reason. When we look at our prison system and compare it to those in Europe, the differences are stark. Switzerland focuses on rehabilitation. Here, we focus on cruel and unusual punishment. No prison staff shows any type of compassion or a desire to help or rehabilitate a prisoner. That comes with a label. To other staff, that person is an inmate lover. In this environment, this is not a label that any staff wants. Such a label comes with being ostracized from their team, their group. Prison guards have a code of silence that they live by. Very few, if any, would report the beating of a prisoner or even his murder by staff. Anyone who did that would be cutting his or her Federal Bureau of Prisons career quite short. That person would find their advancement on the career ladder to be mysteriously blocked at every turn. When it comes to staff, what happens here stays here. Morals do not apply. Neither does human decency. Martin's beating and the feces rubbed in his face will go unreported, and in time will happen again. This is the world I live in, at least until March 2038. So many of us will spend the best years of our lives in cells. Decades will be wasted living lives of pain, desperation, fear, and hopelessness. The guards, too, have a miserable existence. They have to work in a hostile environment where tomorrow is never promised. Chapter 37. After 2 months of this miserable existence, my case manager is at my door. She wants to talk to me in private. I am led out of my cell to the same room where Ace tried to chicken fight me. Through the plexiglass window, I see the same SIS lieutenant that I refused to talk to months earlier, sitting at a desk. As I enter the room, Miss C sits me in a chair. She finds her own chair. She speaks first. Mr. Marks, the SIS department has seized letters from the Aryan Brotherhood and Dinky's crew ordering you to be hit. We want to state place you. Do you know what that is? Yeah, you want to contract me out to another state to go to a state prison. That's it. That's what we want to do, for your safety. This is what we are doing with Pike. The down part is you will be sitting here for a year, maybe 2, while we seek state placement acceptance. I interrupt Miss C. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I cannot handle that. It's up to you, Mr. Marks, the SIS lieutenant says. No way. I'm losing it after 2 months of this shit. I'm willing to take my chances at the next spot. You could be in danger if you go to the wrong spot, Miss C says. I'm an independent. They got places where there are no active gang members. USP Coleman 2, Lee County, Allenwood. Why can't I go to one of those places? You can. We can put in a recommendation, but Grand Prairie does what they want. The people down there in Texas at the designation center don't always make the right decisions or listen to us. You're taking a chance, Marks. It is what it is. I got 40 years. If they kill me, fuck it. All right, if you change your mind, let me know. I'm doing your paperwork for a transfer this week. With that, our meeting is over, and I'm taken back to my cell. I lay in my bunk, stare at the ceiling, wondering if I just made the right decision. It's impossible for me to continue living under these conditions. I am not as strong as Pike, mentally. At the same time, his experience was much different Had I been savagely stabbed like him, I might have chosen differently. Chapter 38. Leaving Big Sandy is the only thing on my mind. A new prison may be my doom, but it also has potential to be a new start. This is what I hope, anyway. Getting out of here is never promised. Even the R&D department is dangerous. That reality is reinforced for me today. Creeper, the first prisoner I ever saw assaulted here, was scheduled to be transferred today. His hands were cuffed behind his back, and he was led to the R&D department and placed in a holding cell with other prisoners scheduled to leave. Creeper was able to uncuff himself with a small piece of metal he hid from the guards. Prisoners call this slipping your cuffs. Sitting across from him is one of the people involved in ordering the hit on him months ago. Slyly, Creeper pulls a razor from his pants. 1 minute, he is sitting on the concrete slab. The next, he is running towards Chino. The look on Chino's face tells the story. He knows it's payback time. Chino doesn't make it to his feet. Creeper slashes at Chino's face. Chino struggles to get away. He makes it to the door, and he kicks hard to get the officer's attention. With his hands restrained behind him, he tries to protect his face by tucking it into his shoulder and burying himself into the corner of the wall. Like a wild Apache, Creeper slices up and down, yelling in Spanish like a man possessed. The guards respond by spraying Creeper with mace. Then they wrestle the razor blade from his grip to stop the wild assault on Chino. These two men should have never been scheduled on the same transfer trip. Because of Grand Prairie's staff's negligence, Chino will forever have scars on his face. Their negligence presented Creeper with the chance he had been waiting for, so he got him some revenge. Chino was a high-ranking member of the gang that Creeper once belonged to. After his latest attack on Chino, he knows he is a marked man. Some might say a dead man walking. Like me, Creeper is in the hat. Kites will be sent to every prison. His name will be on them, marked for death. His only real choice is Coleman too. But like Miss C told me, Grand Prairie does what they want. Some prisoners like living on the edge. It helps them manage their time. It doesn't matter what you get into, really. Being involved in anything keeps the organic mind from thinking about the heartbreaking reality that is being separated from family members, the world, and society. This is what moves men like those willing to accept an order to kill Creeper. Some men in here consciously welcome chaos, violence, and conflict into their lives. At Big Sandy, the new year comes in with a bang. I have spent Christmas in this cage, now New Year's. The prison is on lockdown. The guards aren't saying anything. This is usually a sign that something bad has happened. As Pike and I listen to the radio, we find out the reason for the lockdown and the bologna sandwiches from the newscaster. An inmate was murdered today at the federal prison in Inez, Kentucky. Staff members at USP Big Sandy reported that 2 cellmates were involved in a physical altercation that resulted in one cellmate stabbing the other with a prison-made shank. The inmate was stabbed in the head, resulting in the death of the inmate who was serving a life sentence. The dead prisoner's name and age is mentioned on the radio, resulting in prisoners hollering back and forth from cell to cell. "Yo, Juice, you heard that on the radio?" "Yeah, that was Roscoe, Slim. Someone killed him." "It was his cellie, Slim," another voice calls out. "Who was his cellie? One of the homies?" "Yeah, he's from D.C. Just came from USP Lee for stabbing a dude over there." "That's crazy, yo. How much time the new dude have?" "He got life. He killed some old dude who was a pastor in D.C. "I can't believe Roscoe was dead, Slim." The Roscoe they are talking about lived in the same housing unit as me. Knowing someone personally and knowing that they were killed here leaves me in a somber mood. Death is possible for everyone here. It could have been me or Pike just months ago. Living in solitude until we leave almost guarantees that we will not die here. We may very well make it off this mountain. Like all lockdowns, the one for Roscoe's death ends in a few days. The violence does not stop. Chapter 39. Today will be the last piece of violence I see at Big Sandy. It's almost as if it is a going-away present. Problems have been escalating between the Nazi lowriders, the guys aspiring to be California brand members, and the ABT gang in all federal penitentiaries. The brand has issued orders to all their members and the Nazi lowriders to hit every ABT gang member. Pinky never got wind of the order and doesn't know anything about the issues between his gang and his cellmate, Russell's gang. Swift and Dinky have. Pinky and Russell make it into a recreation cage with Swift, just 1 cage away from me and Pike. The men exchange handshakes. Dinky stayed inside today. Swift pulls Russell to the side for a brief conversation. Once the guards leave the recreation cage area, Swift punches Pinky from behind. Russell moves in to aid Swift in the assault. Pinky swings wildly, backing up. He doesn't know why his cellmate for months has joined up with the ABTs to attack him. Swift rushes Pinky, overpowering him. He picks him up and slams him to the ground. Swift holds him down as Russell slashes Pinky with a razor. A piece of Pinky's ear is cut off. The guards respond and order the men to stop fighting, but no one listens. Beanbag rounds are fired, hitting Swift, knocking him to the ground. Guards rush in and spray mace on the combatants. The men are cuffed, then separated. Pinky is escorted from the cage first. He walks past us. Blood is dripping from his face. "Those are your friends, bitch," Pike hollers. Pinky hears him but does not respond. Through eyes watery from the mace that has reached our cage, we laugh at Pinky. Pinky was attacked because he is prospecting for the Aryan Brotherhood. Swift and Russell walk him into their trap. Being in the gang has earned Pinky 25 more years in prison and has stripped a piece of his ear from him. The ruthless prison machine respects no one. Seeing Pinky brutalized does give Pike a moment of happiness. He will never have a chance to avenge what Pinky did to him. Their paths will likely never cross again. Pike will eventually be sent to a state prison. Pinky will be here until someone kills him or until he is an old man. After lunch, I'm told to pack my belongings. I'm being transferred in the morning to USP Lee. I see the sadness in Pike's face. I feel the same emotions at the moment. With the time me and Pike spent in pretrial and now here in federal prison, we've become close friends, more like brothers. Like all things in prison, everything is subject to change. "What do you really think about this place, Pike?" "For real, I don't even know what to think about this place," Pike snorts. "Honestly, this is the worst place I ever been in my life. It's a fucked up life. I'd rather be in Afghanistan than this fucking rat hole." "Afghanistan? At least over there you know who your enemies are. These dudes in here will smile in your face today and stab you in the neck tomorrow." "Yeah, I guess you're right, Pike. You're out of here tomorrow. Now I gotta worry about them bringing me a cellmate. What are you going to do?" "I'm not taking no one, plain and simple. My life is on the line. I'll be in this bitch for a year before I make it to a state prison." "You could take Martin, kid. He's your co-defendant anyway." I say this laughing. Pike rolls his eyes, but he laughs back. "By the time I get out of this hole, I'll be as crazy as your stepfather, Martin." "Fuck you, he ain't my stepfather." I say this while throwing 2 playful punches at Pike. Federal prison is an unforgiving world, with no remorse for anyone. The federal penitentiary can break a person. Like a machine, it will chew you up and spit you out if you allow it to. Many men have left here broken, empty, destroyed for the rest of their lives. Tomorrow morning, I will walk down this range battered, damaged, but still alive. Chapter 40. I see them jumping out of their cars. My first instinct is to flee. I think I'm being robbed until I see the shiny metal of their badges. It is the Rochester Police Department, narcotics officers. They rip me from the front seat. Rich jumps out of the passenger seat to run. The snow drifts down from the black sky on a cold February 4, 2003 night. "Don't move. I'll blow your fucking head off." I am laying down in the street face first, wet from the ground. A cop's knee in my back. I am handcuffed. Life as I knew it, gone forever. I never been to Kentucky, never seen blue grass. Big Sandy, here I am.